People had stories about these human-like forms who lived in the mountains, but they weren't quite like people. There were drawings of them and there were pictures of the tracks of them. They are the root of the story of the Yeti. We all know that legend, but very few people have seen the animal behind it. I'm Emma Napper and I'm the producer for the Asia episode of 7 Worlds, 1 Planet. It was a story that I really wanted to tell. We did a lot of research in the office, a lot of dreaming. Asia is one of the most extreme continents. It's got the highest mountains, the hottest deserts. So the monkeys for me were a really good fit because very few people have seen them before and they live in this incredible mountain range, which is very difficult to survive, especially as a monkey.
Now, in the depths of winter, food is desperately hard to find.
I also really wanted to feel a bit like a fantasy almost. A lot of Asia feels quite unexplored, feels very romantic. The snub-nosed monkeys fitted into that quite well because they are the root of the story of the Yeti. People had stories about these human-like forms who lived in the mountains, but they weren't quite like people. There were drawings of them and there were pictures of the tracks of them. So we all know that legend, but very few people have seen the animal behind it. The snub-nosed monkeys is also a stunning animal. It's absolutely beautiful and one that David Attenborough has wanted to film for a long time. So to have the opportunity to finally be able to go and film that was really special.
The head of the family leads them to the edge of their territory in search of something to eat.
So these monkeys live in only a couple of really high, really inaccessible mountain ranges in China. Those mountain ranges have been relatively unexplored, and especially to the world outside China, nobody has been allowed access in there for a very long time. It's also a really hard place. It's incredibly cold there. So for the monkeys to be able to survive, they have to have these really strong family bonds.
There's hardly enough to sustain one monkey, let alone a family. But they share it peaceably. Survival depends on the group keeping together.
I was just amazed by their colours, really, how stunning they were, and also just how ferociously they fought.
A rival group. They too are searching for food.
We wanted to get family interactions and we knew that the groups sometimes came in contact with each other, but you don't know really what that looks like. I hadn't seen any footage before. There's hardly any photos of that kind of behaviour. I knew the babies were going to be cute, so I'd seen a couple of pictures of those, but the fights that they get into and those teeth, it's just incredible. To be that close to a dramatic event like that is quite special. Like with many sequences, we work with scientists who normally spend their days with the monkeys. So monkeys are used to people being around them. The crew has to be quite small, you have to be respectful of those animals. You always have to remember that even if a scientist has been following them, they may not accept a film crew. So at first the film crew stood back, used a lot of traditional camera techniques, cameras mounted on tripods while the monkeys got used to them. And then we started to be able to take in the handheld moving cameras, which make it look more beautiful and more dynamic. And the monkeys luckily accepted that. Staying safe around animals when they're doing something dramatic is about understanding those animals and being there for enough time that you, to some extent, can predict what they're going to do. So we want to get close enough to film the behaviour well, to show people what those individual animal characters are doing. But we're doing that with knowledge and with weeks from us and years from the scientists of observing the animals and knowing what is possible without putting ourselves in danger. The challenge was the environment, which is very snowy, very cold. Primates don't live there. People don't live there. If they did, we'd have known about them a long time ago. It's an inhospitable place. So that was the challenge, I think, for the camera crew, was trying to follow these monkeys which were adapted to that environment through some pretty tough terrain.
Outnumbered, the intruders retreat. Their leader is the last to go.
It was really fun showing David the footage of the snow monkeys. He tried to film them back in the 60s, I think, and that area of China has been quite hard for Western crews to get into. So he'd still really only seen pictures of them. And then when we showed him the footage, all graded with the beautiful colours, it was lovely watching his reaction, because they were more beautiful than he thought, and he was really surprised and really happy that we'd managed to do that shoot. To be able to have that as part of this programme for him was really, really nice. To watch David Attenborough's documentaries when I was a kid, that's what I remember, these things we thought, I can't believe that's true, I never knew animals could do that. One of the joys of doing this job is the surprise at the newness that is still there in the natural world. People often say, are there any stories left to film? And yes, there's a lot. The natural world is absolutely full of amazing wonders. Nature is incredible. So to me, being able to show people something they've not seen before, that's such an amazing feeling, that awe at the natural world.